bid. But there are utilities underneath the ground in that area. And so the discussion today with the civil engineer was what utilities need to be redirected, and that will have to take place before we start construction. But we anticipate breaking ground on that. Goodness, as soon as it thaws out, I would hope. So,
I mean, well, first you got to go to bid.
that's right.
So
it'd be 30 days, and then of course we would have to come before the board would have to decide, and then it'd have to come before financial management to award the bid as well. So
it's an additional 7,500 square feet.
that's correct.
So how big the whole cafe?
That'll put you about 10,000 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be such a big addition.
Yeah,
So needed.
absolutely. Yeah.
Was there, in your design, is there multi-use stuff there? Or
Yeah, so they're actually putting a stage there on the end of it, so that we could accommodate outside groups if they needed to have a meeting in there. And that's going to be a big enough space to be able to do that. Of course, now, I mean, you're going to be sitting on cafeteria tables, so it probably won't be the most comfortable place, but still, you could easily fit 250 to 300 people in there to have a meeting, have a community meeting. And the thing that I like about the design is that we'd be able to shut off the rest of the school because there'll be bathrooms in there, and so really you would be able to just have your entire meeting in that area and not have to be in the school building if you can, unless you
I
need
think
to
that's
do.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be good. Also met, I've talked to you all about this, the second part that the board identified that was a priority was trying to build a track on campus there at the high school. And we have a good plan. I saw today that the civil engineer was working on that, building that track in front of Hickory Creek will also allow for us to build an entrance and exit for Hickory Creek solely. The civil engineer was worried today about, I know you all have been on Vervilla. There's a hill right there, and so there's concern about visibility if putting that road right there. So he was going to go out and study it today. We might have to bring the road back further toward the high school. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that it's not straight on, because if you're the lack of visibility is what concerns us right there. So
Oh, it's
might have to
yeah.
might have to go back this direction some, which I'm fine with. It obviously needs to be safe there. So there's already school zone lights. How much did you pay attention to school zone lights? I'm not sure. So, but the track project being also in this money that the board has put together is a revamping of the West Gymnasium, which we're excited about. The reason that project is on hold is, I tell everybody this, if you wanted to go build something personally, or I wanted to go build something personally, then you can get a builder or a contractor or whatever, and you go do it. A project of the size of the revamping of the West Gymnasium, financially, we're required to bring an architect in. So that causes time and more money. So the one thing that we're having to decide right now is before we put the new floor down in West, is are we gonna have to move it to get the optimum amount of playing space? So for an example, right now, they have two sides of gym bleachers. So the architect is determining, is it better to go to one side and have bigger playing area,
Mhm.
or is it, better to go back with two? And then there's some offices at the end. Would you do away with those walls and go further back? And so again, somebody smarter than me, there's a lot of people smarter than me, but somebody that's equipped to do that, like an architect, that's what he's going through. As a part of that project, we're gonna replace the bleachers, we're gonna replace the goals, we're gonna spruce out the bathrooms, and it'll be a really nice place for West to kids to be able to host their own basketball games. So we're excited about that. But as soon as the architect gives us the go ahead, we'll have to bid that as well and go that direction. So some
Something like that.
That's three things. Or do you have a
Yeah.
fourth?
we're gonna do the gym bleachers at the high school that need to be replaced.
This is all within the $10 million.
Well, so again, let me tell you how we've approached this is we have that 10 million.
Mhm.
The first priority set by the board was the cafeteria project. So once we open that as bids, what that price comes back will tell us what we have left out of that 10 million. And then we'll go, they want the track to be the second priority. And so, we'll go to that part. But now the West Gymnasium is already in the process, so that will come out of that. So those three things are
So no matter,
definitely gonna be done.
okay.
Now, whether or not we get to the gym bleachers at the high school, I'm pretty positive that's what's gonna happen, but it will depend on how much these projects cost. So,
Something like the gym bleachers and web is on just one side, that would be easier to
yeah,
leave that there.
yeah, the one, again,
That's kind of how, Bobby Ray is, isn't it? Don't they just have bleachers on one side?
no, they got it both at Bobby Ray.
Oh.
Well, one of the issues though is that, again, I learned a lot when I listened to the architect talk about this, is that if you move the goal placement,
Yeah,
they may have put a, metal beam in the roof so that the goal would be on that metal beam. And so if you have to move the goal placement over, there may not be support up there to
Yeah.
hold those goals. So he's got to get up there and determine that. And so, again, that is the positive about having to bring an architect in, is that
You're doing it right.
some people would say, well, let's just do this, and it could put us into some real issues. So we'll have to determine that before we move forward. But I feel really good about those three projects. As a part of that track project, we've also identified tennis courts that we don't have
Mhm.
at the school. Now, again,
That's
that's,
on the side though, right?
we don't have them at school at all.
No, I mean,
Yes, on the other side of the track.
on the other side of the track.
But that will depend on how much money is left in the pot, whether or not we can do that.
Did pickleball courts come up, or are they on, as,
Uh,
tennis courts multi,
Depends on that road,
oh, that road, okay.
depends on what we have to do with that road, whether or not we have enough space to do all that. Um, But again, our civil engineers working through that, so we'll know more of that soon, I hope.
Would be great to have all these cost estimates closed, so you would know. I know you wouldn't get all this done in 1 year, but at least you'll know what to carry over for next year.
Yeah, I hope we'll be there. I'm cautiously optimistic we'll at least know because you don't know what a company's gonna bid. But I hope we're hitting a good time as far as construction prices or whatever. But we'll see. It's like playing a game. You never know what's gonna happen there. So, I think that's pretty much it for right now. I mean, we're still, I would tell you the high school needs a new roof. We're gonna probably have to do that in sections. You know, there's always gonna be needs. I told y'all that before. There's always gonna be needs. I hope they're not multi-million-dollar project needs, but, we're gonna always have needs that we have to check on.
Well, out on social media are pictures of, renditions of a new football
Yeah.
stadium.
Yeah.
Where is the board at in discussing?
Let me tell you how that happened. So I've not made it a secret that we've talked about what that looks like, but now the high school football stadium is simply on paper right now. The board has not even considered whether or not they're gonna take that on. Why that picture got out there was that we had to make a determination of the track location. So, I told you, we've had a plan for in front of Hickory Creek for quite some time. Because we just don't feel like we've got enough room there where the practice field, the football
Okay, in
practice.
front of Hickory Creek, though, that's between Hickory Creek building and the highway.
That's correct.
Okay,
So we have more room there than we do where the soccer field is.
Yeah.
But the board said, before we decide where we're gonna build this track, we would like to see a hypothetical, if we ever built a football stadium at Warren County High School, a track around it. And so that picture, so I got the architect to make that picture or to design that. And so then we talked about that in our workshop and lo and behold, it ended up on social media. So, so yeah, I will not say that that's not been in the discussion, but the, the plans for that will have to be, I mean,
that's a complicated project.
it is, and
It's not
it's
just,
not,
not just bidding it out.
it is
which
not.
I'm-
So again, those that anybody that asked me, I would say, look, that the high school track will be a reality. High school football stadium has probably 15 steps away from being even talked about as a reality. My job is to always try to provide the board with what the future looks like. And
Well,
so
we have to have people thinking about this.
And so
having vision. But,
that's why that was there.
okay, I just thought, what in the world is?
That's right. So, now again, I would tell you in this community, I think it's probably 50-50 from the people I talk to. People love Nunley and we love Nunley. I'm not trying to say that we need to move away from that. I'm simply saying, that there is a sense of needing a on-campus stadium more than just for football, for graduations, for lots of other things that take place. It would relieve a lot of stress on the area around the middle school if we had a place to do that on campus. But, again, you talk to one person, they're all for it. You talk to another person, they think it's the craziest thing in the history of the world. So, but what I can tell you is that we have a track team that's been very successful over the last couple of years and have never been able to host a local track meet. So that's the why the board identified that as an immediate need. And so, again, it got stirred up and that's okay. I'm happy for it to be discussed and talked about. But that is not something the community needs to worry about immediately, in the next year or two, maybe, but again, it's a more complex issue than just, we're gonna build a stadium.
You have any other questions about any of the projects you can or?
No.
It sounds, I'm so glad to see these top three anyway,
Yeah.
coming along, and I feel like everybody will be there for that. What is the, cost per square foot right now? Is it $350 or?
I would say probably 400 to 450.
Yeah.
So 7,500 times 450 is what?
I'm guessing that project's gonna be about $3 million.
3 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
That 7,500 times 450 would be $3.3 million. And again, just like I said, I'm supposed to fear the worst to me, that's the worst.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it'll be less than that, but,
Maybe 375.
oh, I'd be thrilled.
How much you would?
Isn't it something though? I mean, you're talking,
I
about-
know.
you're talking about,
I can remember bidding out at $110 a square foot
Yeah.
at the Civic Center.
had we done this 5 years ago, it would have been, I mean, I remember vividly talking about the project at Eastside and us saying $150 to $200 a square foot and me going, oh my goodness, you've got to be kidding me. And then, I mean, it's doubled since then. So let's hope for a good bid.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the one thing I neglected to tell you all. We are actively seeking bids on student transportation right now. So, the contract was up, so it was 5 years. So, we had a pre-bid meeting last week and 6 different vendors showed up. So we were thrilled with that. Now, that doesn't mean they're gonna bid.
Yeah.
But, 6 different vendors showed up, and so that's good. That's why you bid.
Buses.
That's all right. Yeah.
How many, how's it going with the in-house, substitute teaching?
Yeah, same thing. That we're always having an ebb and flow of substitutes as well. I think the last time I don't want to give you a number because it's been several months since that, but we started the year around, between 125, 150 subs, which is good. Now, those times ebb and flow as well. Some people will get jobs and they're doing, but we're pleased with what we have. We're always looking for more, so and certainly quality as well. So we've increased. We're very competitive. I mean, it's $95 a day for a non-certified teacher. It's 110, I believe, for a certified teacher, maybe more than that. But so we're competitive with people around us as far as subs go, sub rates. So that's helped us stabilize a little bit, but we can always use more. WarrenSchools.com. Go online, apply to be a sub.
$95 a day, you could go, Philip.
No.
Philip's still certified. He'd be more than that. So maybe, I don't know if he still got his license or not. We'd find a way to get it. So.
There's a way. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, any bills going through on the table that are concerned or excited or?
So with it being the second year of this session, they're in the second year of it. There's nothing that's in the front of our minds. Obviously, there's expansion discussion of the Education Freedom Scholarship, but right now there's nothing pressing on the front burner of what we think is going to happen. We actually are a little bit optimistic that they're going to clean up some things. Just anything. You make regulations and then you change those regulations and then you change those regulations again. You get down to 5 or 6 years later, those regulations have kind of moved round and round, and you're doing something. You're regulating something over here that's different over here. So our organizations have talked to them, TSBA in particular, about cleaning up some of those regulations, deregulating, which we would all be in favor of. So some cleanup bills, hopefully, that will go through. Now, the only ones that have been, I think you brought up in our last meeting, talking about lowering the levels of requirements for teachers. But now again, I don't see that getting a lot of traction.
I heard some discussion on one the last couple of days. And I just heard it, and I didn't really look into it, but I thought maybe you would have, and so you could tell me, is putting cameras in school, in the special education classrooms.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody would disagree with that fundamentally. One of the issues being, though, is the way the the language that I saw written was serving any classroom serving a student that has an IEP. Well, I don't know that we have a classroom in the entire district that wouldn't be serving a student with, that has an IEP.
Yeah.
So there would need to be further clarification on what their expectations are. And again, it's all about peace of mind and understanding that, but, I think that would be a gigantic expense, of a requirement of putting a camera in every classroom. So that's what I read. I'm sure there's probably more to it.
Sounds like it's really being put together and not even has.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything on the floor as of yet that's actually been put together. One of the things that I saw recently was the emergency, buttons, the panic buttons that would be in every classroom as well.
Yeah.
They've actually put a price tag to that. That would be about 14 million for every public school and be 19 million for public and private schools. So, we've been reading that the, General Assembly saying it's gonna be a tight budget year, so I don't know if that's gonna be an additional requirement or not, but, that was passed a couple of years ago as a pilot. And 6 districts, I think, piloted that, and so, again, you never know. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's gonna be proposed, but they have a bill filing deadline, I believe, at the end of this month. So we'll know more, and I could certainly be able to tell you more in February.
You have another meeting before the
Financial management, with that.
come up.
Yeah.
All right, is there any other discussions or questions this evening, or anything anybody wants to talk about before we adjourn? Our next meeting, if we do this again in February with it being part of the commission meeting,
Mhm.
so